So a little over a month ago, I released my very first game on Steam, so today I thought I'd share some numbers with you guys. If you're only here to see how much money I made, then here you go. Did you think you were getting the numbers that easy, huh? But now for real, here are the real numbers. Now, if that's all you wanted to see when clicking this video, at least leave a like before you click off the video. I would really appreciate it. So, in a month, I've sold 13 copies, which amounts to $43. Now, this of course isn't a crazy amount, but I still think it's kinda cool that I've made some money from a hobby. Also, even though I made $43, that doesn't mean I made profit. You see, I spent $25 getting the game translated into different languages, and it also costs $100 to get the game up on Steam. Taking this into consideration, then the game has actually cost me $82 to make. Now, I can also throw in the costs of making the game, but I haven't really documented all the hours it took, and many of them were spent on just messing around and learning new stuff, but let's make an estimate anyway. So halfway through the game's development, I added Steam integration to my game, which allowed me to track the hours I spent from developing the game from December until the launch in August, which ended up being around 500 hours. If we take this number and say that I've spent an equal amount before I tracked my hours, then we can make an estimate that I've spent maybe 1,000 hours to make the game. And if we divide the money I made from the game by the number of hours, we end up with an hourly salary of about $0.043, which is an almost livable wage if you don't take into consideration that I have to pay bills, eat, and provide a roof over my head or literally pay for anything at all. But it is what it is. I launched the game with around 150 wishlists, which is a really terrible amount to launch a game with. Most people that make games recommend that you should have at least 7,000 to 10,000 wishlists before launching a game. So it's not really a surprise that it didn't sell that much. I have heard that you can expect a 10% wishlist to sale conversion, which is accurate in my case, sorta. So I'm pretty sure that half of my sales are from close friends, so in reality it's really about 5% in my case. I think this might be because people here on YouTube are supporting me by adding it to their wishlist, even though they're not interested in the game. I of course appreciate the gesture, but I think this skews the stats a bit, which might explain why the turnover is less than the average game. Now, let's talk about some mistakes that I made along the way while marketing the game. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made was releasing my demo way too early. At the time, my channel was getting a lot of views and attention, at least for a small channel like mine, and with all the people watching, I feel like I definitely went a little blind, too blind to see that my demo wasn't polished enough when I launched it for Steam Next Fest. Because having a good demo out during Steam Next Fest can be very beneficial for getting wishlist for your game. And as I said, I was too blind and just dead set to get the demo out in time, even though it still needed a lot of polish. So I think for my next game I will take my time and not to rush things. Making sure everything is top notch before releasing to the public should be the #1 priority, even if you have to delay the game to do so. The first impression is very important, and I honestly think it's a make or break scenario for the success of your game. Like, you can always update your game after release, but on release, Steam pushes your game in front of many people, and usually you make most of your sales during the release window, or at least a huge chunk of it. So fixing your game after the release is kind of a wasted effort because the Steam algorithm won't push your game as much. There are of course outliers, but you shouldn't really base your decisions on them. Another thing I would do differently this time is that I would hire someone to make the artwork from a Steam capsule and other marketing pictures as well, as this makes the Steam page look a lot more professional than what I made myself. This also goes for other things as well, such as music, sprites and other assets. I think when developing a game it's better to focus on the things that one is good at and then hire talent to fill in those gaps where your own talent is lacking. That way you can make a very gorgeous and interesting game, because at the end of the day, the higher the quality of the game you put out there, the higher the chances are that the game will sell well. Which leads into this. Let's just be real. The real reason my game didn't sell well is because the game isn't anything special. Don't get me wrong, I'm really proud of it, but it just isn't that good of a game. Although I wouldn't call it a terrible game either. It's just not interesting enough compared to the competition out there, and that's okay. The game was always intended for me to learn how to make a game and to learn the process of getting it uploaded onto Steam, and it has now served its purpose. I've definitely learned a lot, and I've become very comfortable with using Unity and Steamworks now. I'm actually already working on my next game, and I can tell that all the hours I've spent on Bite the Dust has made me a much better developer. Comparing myself from last year starting out to now is such a night and day difference. I work a lot faster, and I also don't have to Google things as much as I did in the beginning, though I still do that, of course. There is still a lot to learn, but right now I'm feeling very confident going forward with my next project. Now that my first game is finished and I've put it behind me, I'm really excited to work on new stuff, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So if you want to see what I'm up to in the future, then hit that subscribe button, I really appreciate it. I'm also looking into working on smaller projects as well, just to make a video here and there. Maybe I'll even try to do a game jam at some point, who knows. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them down in the comments. And with that, thanks for watching.